Hi folks, we've got some real goodies coming up today. I'm often asked, can I do a lesson on how I can play completely solo guitar interspersed with little chords and things like that, and how my mind thinks when I'm creating these things. So I'm going to show you all my colourful little chords that I have in my repertoire, if I can, and how I apply them, and how I create these little musical pieces, and how you can too. And we're also going to break down some bits from that opening sequence. Let's go! Right, by playing solo guitar, of course I don't mean this. That's not me. I find that really restricting. Can be fun, but let's face it, what I really mean is what I do in my YouTube videos most of the time, where I can freestyle and play the licks the way I want to play them, but I can avoid boredom in the listener, hopefully, by referencing enough chords and chord changes to bring you along as a listener and create music, so that hopefully my noodlings don't sound just like noodlings. They sound a little bit like music, and that's what I'm always trying to do. And that's what this lesson is about. I'm hoping we can finish this lesson and have given you something tangible to help you create your own little tunes. It's enormous fun. It's really rewarding. Now, over the last 2 years, I have heard more than one of my guitar heroes say, if you want to be a good guitar player and a good lead player, go learn every single song by the Beatles and come back and see me. Of course, what they mean is if you can do that, then you will have a very broad, streetwise knowledge of how the chord families work. And I'm not talking theory, I'm talking just the human ear likes certain chords to go together. Learn them, learn how they go together, learn why Happy Birthday, the song Happy Birthday, is got the 1 chord, the 4 and the 5 in it, and why it works. It doesn't work in a theory way, it's because the human ear decided it works. So I am not a Beatles fan particularly, but I was immersed in it from a young age. My dad is a huge Beatles fan and was constantly, Paul, come and see this chord, wait till you see this when he goes from this to this, oh, and all that stuff. And it went over my head because I was into Eric Clapton and the Beano album at the time, and I just wanted to know how to make it howl. And then being in a band for 15 years, a covers band, you can't help but become very streetwise at learning all the chord families and how it all goes together. And you all help each other out in the band and you end up streetwise on chords. So for example, don't worry if you don't, but I'm hoping you know this, at least in your ear. I hope you recognise all the chords I'm about to play, but it'd be really good if you already can know them. That's a good foundation. But let's see, so let's start with our 1 chord up to our 4 chord. Does your ear recognise that, a diminished? More than one way to play it. I like to play it like that sometimes. Up to the 1 chord again. Relative minor. That typically precedes the 5. Major to minor. Relative minor. A 2 chord. A 5 chord. An augmented chord. There were bells on a hill. All that stuff, right? Your connection chords, diminished and augmented. For example, what I mean by that is, have you never heard bands do this before? You, rather than being flummoxed like I was as a kid, when you hear that, I just used to miss that bit out, but of course it's just a diminished sound, so you're just taking your root note up a semitone and forming this chord, a diminished, so get to know that. Or when you're on a 5 chord, to know that sound. An augmented chord, that is. So there's not a million chords, just your cowboy chords and a diminished and an augmented. Go learn them. Cowboy chords and a diminished and an augmented, and see how they all join up. Now, but you'll see more about that in this lesson anyway. Funny, the other day I watched Robin Ford play on YouTube. It was if you type in Robin Ford ugliest guitar ever, you'll see him talk about his white Telecaster. But in that, I don't know, 8 minutes into the video, he moans about when he was a young player, he played in blues bands and just used a 9th chord everywhere. And it became apparent the better musicians he mixed with, he thought, oh, I don't know any chords. So he bought the Mickey Baker book, which was apparently a famous publication for guys of a certain age, and it taught him to do this. I watched that and thought, shit, I don't know if I know that. On hindsight, I was just getting in a flap. It's just cowboy chord diminished, cowboy chord diminished, cowboy chord, cowboy chord, cowboy chord, 5 chord. That's all it was. But he plays his diminished, of course, a different way from me, where I'm going. he's going, adding a lovely little nuance. That's all that chord is, by the way. You may as well start stealing things if you don't already know it. Same chord, B minor 7, and then this chord I play a lot. It's like an E9, but take the pinky up 2 frets and catch the top 2 thin strings. And this one, that's just his little, if you want to learn that one. Anyway, right, next thing, know how to colour. And by the way, we're getting to the lesson in a minute, but know how to colour all your chords. You've probably seen me rarely just play the chord. I've usually got a colour of some sort on it. I've taken a pinky off, I've added a pinky, I've found a way to get open notes in. I've sniffed out, what do they call it? Voicing that I've stolen from somebody else. So in the next 2 minutes, let's see if I can show you as many voicings of chords as I know. Feel free to pause every time you like one and take it. And that's all I've been doing for years. I'll get caught one day. Here goes. As fast as I can in 2 minutes. And your A chord, an A6, an A6 again, but this time that makes it an A7 with a 6. Here's a great one. As a joining chord, it's just an A7, but I'm raising the B string up a semitone. An A major 7. Here it is again. An A chord, but with the root note raised up a tone. Then the opposite, A chord with just the top 2 strings open. Here's a lovely one. That's an A chord with those up a tone. And catching the thin E string for a half-step rub. Since we've now arrived at a B chord, there's a B7. But with an open E string on the top. Not an easy voicing to play if you want to get that bass note in, but without the bass note, gives you that half-step rub. If that's a minor chord, this voicing, I don't know what you would call it. I play it as an A minor, but I've taken that down a semitone and this down a whole tone. And there's D minor. It's a lovely voicing of a minor chord. A D chord. That one all the time. So just, that's your D7. And that was just diminished. Sometimes I play it like that, but right now I seem to be playing it like that. You already probably know that a diminished can be brought up 3 frets, and it's the same chord every 3 frets. An augmented can be brought up 4 frets at a time, and it's the same chord. An E chord, but with the root note raised up a tone. A 9 chord, but with this up a tone. Here's one I don't even know what it is. Very often in a major shuffle. You can stick this in. What the heck is that? I have no idea. Probably from the family of diminished, but I don't know. Takes you nicely to your D chord. Here's another D. D suspended 4th, D. Another version of a with the top two strings off. An F sharp 7 with the top two strings off. An F chord with the top two strings off. An F7 with a 6 on top. My favourite chord in the whole world. Usually is part of my A minor progressions. How many times have you heard me do that on the way to the 5? Augmented again. Here's a bass heavy version of a diminished. Normally I've been playing diminished like that, or sometimes like that. Here's a nice way to play one. It's just that, but in a very nice leading way. That's just that note. By leading it from the bass. More A minor chords. There's your A minor. What about this one? That's an inversion. Here's another same thing, or different, but a nice way to end on an A minor, but it's a colourful A minor. Here it is again, or a similar one. Or here's another one. Love that one. Just that, with this raised up a tone. I like this down a semitone sometime. How many times have you heard me do this for an A minor? Here's an A minor, but with a thumb on the bottom, and then the thumb down a semitone. Here are the chords to one of the cool little passages I did in the intro. Watch this. God knows what that is. So, just barring this, and then the pinky up there on the 11th fret. Again, just barring all of that, but this on the B string, but trying to be very clean by throwing my wrist out to get all the sounds. So then the Hendrix chords. Once again. Watch this. Diminished, augmented, an E chord, an A chord, walk down to, that would be an F sharp 7, yeah, diminished chord, a Hendrix chord again, and a lick. Then this one, which started with a lick, a B7, down to an E, God knows what that is, or that, or that'll be an E chord of some sort, yes. And that. Once again. So that's pretty much as many chords as I can cram into those couple of minutes. Right, let's start teaching you some stuff then. So here's how my head behaves. Based on everything I've said so far, I start with a lick. So I'm going to create a little song now, a really simplified one. Here's my lick. I'm in the guitar shop and I'm wanting to show off. Not that I ever do that. That to me is where it happened when I brought in the 4 chord. Anybody listening would think, oh, this is not just going to be whittling, it's going to be a bit tasty. And then I'll play a lick. If I'm clever, I won't just play now A minor blues pentatonic. That would ruin all my good work. Surely I should now do a lick that it may share some notes from the A minor pentatonic or the A major scale, but surely it should include a couple of notes from the D that are exclusive to the D. Here's what I mean. Now I'm ready to go back to the A chord. Then I might go like this, which of course is the 2 chord. Maybe a wee augmented, if I had a tremolo arm. So that's how my brain thinks. Then I'd go back into a lick again, or whatever. See how that's how I do it. I heard, and that's a simplified example. A more complicated example, or a more complicated concept, is Eric Johnson, who I once heard on one of his videos say, I just pick a scale, for example, the major scale. Attach a chord to every one of those. So for example, this is something I made up based on his concept. Going up a scale and down a scale. Lovely, like. That's a more complicated example, but let's now, if it helps, I said I'd try and teach you how to fish, but I also said I would throw some fish. So let's dissect a little bit more from the opening jam. So I start in F sharp minor, a little wiggle, hopefully you can see my left hand, and I like the change from that to that. I think it's kind of cool. Reminds me of Goldfrapp, that first album they did, or that early album, Felt Mountain. Whatever it is, I can't remember. I like that change. And then to a B7, which has a place in the family of chords within A, and then down to the relative minor again. So, and I added a little top note, a colour to the F. It's not just F. I went, because I like that, a lead lick that supports that, then down to the B7. That's just a B7. There's your B7. But I like that open E, so. Then back to my F minor, F sharp minor. But there's my open strings off again. I've left the top 2 strings open like I said I would. Then I did my little lick that I like to do these days. I walk up the chord. Then a little line. Then my F, but not just any old F. We've agreed I like to colour my chords. So I've left the B string off. And then I do a little nifty B7. But what I do there on the B7 I'm particularly proud of. That sounds quite fast to me. And that's just me raising the root a semitone to create tension. So one more time. Or something like that. But then I create, rather than a normal F sharp minor, I like that sound. Then resolved to that. Then I went straight to the heart of the matter, straight to the root chord, but I stuck a 7th on it and a 6th. How weird. So there's your 7th, but I stuck a 6th on top. And then walked down, setting up the human ear for the 4 chord, the D chord. And that was my voicing. Rather than that, or like that, I went like this. Then diminished. And a little lick to take me into the relative minor. And then to get to my B7, I did a little chicken picking thing. Or something like that. Then the augmented chord. And a little lick. Just random blues thing, because that's how I like to do it. I like to be able to fly and then come back to common sense and then into that, like we've discussed that. And then I went into my Robin Ford Mickey Baker book thing. That's what I do, you see. I hear something, I love it, I steal it, I learn it and steal it, and often it's the basis of a whole song that I then write. But then of course you don't want to completely rip somebody off, so you have to put your own slant on it. So that's all I've done here. Just the chord we talked about. I'll come even closer so you can see it. A little Paul Cook on top. Another one of the Robin Ford chords. Then rather than going into that, I just bailed at that part. What did I do? Oh yeah, then I went a little A major scale, into an A major 7, so that's just that note brought down a semitone. And then I did something that I hate doing. It's a series of, it's Eric Johnson style, like I heard it once called harmonised major 7th chords. Sounds great, a bitch to do. I wouldn't ever improvise this because I've talked before about things I'm not good at, they tend to get ditched, and this is almost going to get ditched. It's caused me years of headache. I don't know why I struggle with it a bit. I went like this. Our arpeggio up there, and then arpeggio there. Then an arpeggio there, then an arpeggio there, sorry, and then back to that. So I think I went. So in total. So that's just the minor. It's lovely to listen to. Then an E7, but it's an E9 to an E7. Watch this. Take this up a semitone. Whoops. Then more harmonised major 7th chords. So just E chord. Then what did I do? This part's easy but very pleasurable. Simple as pie. Just walking down that shape of an E chord. Then sliding up to a D minor. Like that little suspended sound. Grab the thick E, G and B strings, then form an A chord with just the E string and the G string. Back to my D minor. Then another blinking harmonised major sevenths chord. An E chord, F sharp minor, an E chord, A major 7, B minor 7, C sharp minor 7, D major 7, and E7, back to that again. That's tough. Maybe you'll be better at it than me, but I really struggle with that. Then I just flicked to the neck pickup and went kind of freestyle. But by bending that higher by a semitone, to me, that was me saying E, and then by going to that, that was a D minor sound to me. Back to the A. All B.B. King blues stuff. Then D minor. Back to the A. Up a 3-fret bend. Back to the minor. D chord. Back to E. Back to E. D, diminished. Then I laughed at the end because I fluffed it like that. So I'm going to go now, so thank you again for joining me. It's always a pleasure and I love doing these videos. I sincerely hope that some of you get something out of it. It's a commonly asked question, how to play solo guitar. So start simple, stick with the chords you know, steal as much as you can from everybody, including me, and the more your chord vocabulary grows, the more ideas you will get and the more tools you'll have in your toolbox. So when you're creative, when you look down to your tool bag, it'll be stuffed full of stuff eventually to draw on. Catch you next time for whatever I do, Q&A, who knows, but we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.